What? Jamur is like, I can't even be bothered to run that down. And he's going to clean that line. Look at this. He's cleaning the line because he's so annoyed with some funny bounces. I'm also aware, I learned something in the last year or two. I didn't learn many things, but I did learn this. Iga Swiatek, she loves tiramisu, okay? And I also learned the meaning in English of tiramisu, which is to like lift me up, to cheer me up. Yes. Is the translation, right? Well, listen, Mario, London may have lost the ATP Tour Finals. Brits like me may have lost out. But Italians and Turin in particular has gained. And despite feeling a bit sad about London losing it, after this chat, Mario, you've cheered me up. You've tiramisu'd me. You've tiramisu'd me.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Talking Tennis. And it is your dream WTA commentary team. It is Nick Carter and Miles David at the helm. Miles, how are you doing? You ready for this?
I am ready. I feel like I've been watching a large quantity of Pegula matches the last week or two, and interested to see how this one looks today.
Have you ever watched so many Pegula matches back to back?
It doesn't seem like I have. I would say this is the most I've watched Pegula all season between Toronto and Cincinnati, but I'm not necessarily complaining. And I think this matchup with Sabalenka could be good.
It's the most consistent Pegula's been all season. So,
yeah.
I mean, this stretch has been really, really good for her, I think. I just saw the head-to-head flash up. Obviously, they're getting ready to play. And what I saw was Jessica Pegula leads the head-to-head 4-2.
She does.
I don't know how I didn't know that, but that slightly surprised me. Obviously, Sabalenka she won the most recent meeting in Cancun. So this might not be straightforward for Sabalenka as some might be thinking.
Yeah, I've just been reading some of the commentary on socials and even in our stream today. A lot of people are kind of expecting Sabalenka to route Pegula, which may very well be true, especially if Sabalenka plays how she played for a majority of her match against Iga in the semifinals. But Pegula hasn't lost a match in a couple of weeks, so on top of that, I think the matchup is a matchup that could really get under Sabalenka's skin if Pegula is playing well and moving well. So yeah.
I'm sure the head-to-head thing had the 4 on the Pegula side that flashed up, but it seems to be the other way around when on the WTA website. So maybe they got the graphic wrong. Sabalenka has had to win the second point of the match. She lost the first by putting the forehand into a net. But as we're talking about Pegula having a chance, maybe this is one of those times where Nerlan is right in the chat. Pegula,
does that happen often?
I'm not commenting on that. Pegula enjoys pace. She's got a redirecting, says Schwarner, which I'd agree with. She certainly likes redirecting. She can certainly live with a lot of big hitters and kind of rally with them. I think the question then is, can she counterpunch, which is what Schwarner might be hinting at. But I guess that's what we're here to see.
It'll be interesting to see what wins out today on this fast court, because I do think both of their game styles are advantageous to the fast court. You have the dictator in Sabalenka and the kind of counterpuncher in Pegula, and both of those styles are advantageous on the hard courts, which is why we end up with this final. I'm interested to see, I don't know, what ebbs and flows we watch throughout the match.
Dave, are you supporting a player in this match, or are you staying neutral? And I hope that hopefully that your trip to the dentist is not made more painful. 30-all. Sabalenka Pegula, not a straightforward start for Sabalenka right away, it has to be said.
Yeah, tricky first service game. I look at the score and it's 30-all. But I'm all for that. I actually like when there's tension right away in a match. And I guess what other time should there be for straightaway tension than a WTA 1000 final? If it's not a slam, this is the second best thing. So these are two of the most informed players at the very moment of the summer. So I think the beginning of the match is going to be important, but it's more so how you close than how you begin, especially in the WTA Tour these days. So,
well, yeah, we saw how that worked out. More about how you close the beginning. I mean, the end of the Sabalenka Swiatek match was far more interesting than most of the match up to that point. Although that's harsh, because there was some interesting rallies at points, and I was interested to see as Sabalenka closes out the opening game. That Swiatek was trying to do something. She just wasn't living with Sabalenka's pace very well up until kind of after the last rain delay, and then it kind of evened out.
Yeah. Speaking of rain delay, I think I have the Mason, Ohio weather forecast on my phone.
Yes,
Let me
that's
take
the
a
right
quick glance at
location.
it.
I've been.
That is the right location. Yeah, there's no rain, knock on wood, in the forecast today. So both women's finals that are happening now and the men's final later should go off without a hitch for a Monday championship day instead of a Sunday championship day. Hi, Ashley. And I don't think I acknowledged Super Dave in the chat from Austin, Texas, a place that is on my radar to go and visit and attend the WTA tournament if they keep it around on schedule for longer. I definitely want to go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that it's pretty exciting over there. I mean, we've got plenty of American tennis coming forward. I think Pegula. Let's have a look at how Pegula starts this match off. By the way, and little tentative on serve so far, but Sabalenka's just sliced a backhand into the net, so it's 15-all. I get the sense the players are just still kind of feeling out each other out at the minute and feeling way into the match.
Yeah, because they haven't played since those wretched conditions in Cancun, and you don't really get a feel of anybody's game or how they're playing based off of that. If you go back and watch that footage, because that was more so just getting through the tournament because it was so thrown together, not necessarily indicator. And then that was in October of last year. Some time has changed. Sabalenka's won an additional Grand Slam. Sabalenka has been in some ebbs and flows of her career. So I'm not saying you have to throw everything out from their previous matchups, but I can see why they're, taking their time early in this match.
We've got a backhand into the net from Pegula. So another 30-all game to start things off. Yeah, I can see what you're going up with. But yeah, as you said earlier, it's about how the match ends. And I think both players have got potential of making this very interesting as Pegula's hits an unreturned serve, 40-30. What's the kind of most exciting Jessica Pegula match that you've watched? Trying to think of one that's like she's been in a few interesting.
Thanks for putting me on the spot here, Nick.
She's been in a few interesting matches. I know that.
I am trying to think interesting Pegula matches. More recently, this isn't necessarily going to bode well for how I remember Jessica Pegula. But I do have a image of the quarterfinal between her and Azarenka at the 2023 Australian Open. And Pegula didn't win that match, but it does stick out to me as like a main indicator of where you can go to try to figure out why Pegula has that quarterfinal issue. And then also another quarterfinal matchup is with her and Vondrousova at Wimbledon. That one kind of goes there. I wish there were more memorable Pegula moments where she ended up winning that I could pull from, but
she had a really tough. Who did she play? I think I did the match. I can't remember. I did a lot of Charleston matches on the channel, and she definitely had a couple of really close ones there that she managed to get through. And that was the signs that she was starting to get her way back into things.
This year or last year?
It was this year. Oh, who was it she played? It was a 3-setter.
I can find it really quickly. Don't worry. To the website we go. We go.
Well, whilst we're doing that, Pegula's closed out the game, 1-1. I'm just going to see if I can get a score up as well as a backup because apparently our producer needs to eat.
I was just about to ask, what are you producing and wonderfully hosting today?
I've done that before.
I think you're just the right guy to do it. Okay. Let's see. She played a 7-6. Pegula played a 7-6 in the third deciding set match against Amanda Anisimova in the round of 32 at this year's Charleston tournament, as well as a 7-6 in the third match and another 7-6 in the third match against both Azarenka in the quarterfinal, and in the semifinal, she played a long one against Kasatkina, but Kasatkina got the better of her. So.
I think it was the Azarenka one I was thinking of, but I do remember the Anisimova one as well. And the Kasatkina one actually was I quite enjoyed that. Pegula's one that you watch when you want to kind of get she's going to keep fighting through. I mean, like actually she had a very good match with Fernandez in the quarterfinals. Okay, I like Fernandez. I was kind of hoping that she would do well, but I wasn't mad at the result.
I was hoping Fernandez would keep going just because it's been a while since we've had a true Fernandez in the spotlight moment. And this was a good week for her, Leylah Fernandez. But I'm also not terribly upset that Pegula is having this resurgence in the summer. I would find it a little bit interesting. I made this mental note the other day that Pegula would be not the only person, but the first person in quite a while to do these Canada Cincinnati double.
Goolagong, isn't it? 63.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I mean, it does make sense that Goolagong would have played that long, but like she doesn't come to mind when it comes to records in my mind. Great player, but she doesn't come to mind to records. So that's good company to keep.
But kind of the Andy Murray of her era, isn't she? Because she was kind of stuck with several all-time greats at the same time: Court, King, Everett, and Navratilova.
Yes, and then
not quite there yet, but
agreed. But the Canada and Cincinnati double is one of the doubles in tennis that are least talked about. So I feel like this is not necessarily to slight Pegula, but it would kind of keep in tracking with how I view her if she wins this double, as opposed to Indian Wells, Miami, or Madrid and Rome. Those two are like very more widely known doubles in tennis, whereas this one is a very niche tennis players double, in my opinion. And Pegula often, yes, Pegula gets talked about in a very if you know kind of way. As to how you appreciate her tennis. She doesn't have like this glowing aura. No, you're fine. Feel free to shut me up when there's good tennis happening.
Sabalenka does a sort of block back drop shot return that's a winner, which you might see in a minute. And
I did see, she put her hands up. I didn't mean to do that, but I'll take the point.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about the Canada Cincinnati double. We're keeping an eye on this match as well. So, having a bit of a long rally. Pegula having to slice that one. Sabalenka goes up the line. Pegula finds that cut with a forehand up the line somehow. Still getting to everything Sabalenka's throwing at her. And Sabalenka's gone long. Well outlasted by Pegula there, 15-all. But to go back to the point we're making, I think we have to remember is, and like Courtney Newen pointed this out on Twitter, that the Canada Cincinnati double for the women doesn't really exist because after Goolagong won it, it disappeared from the Cincinnati wasn't on the women's tennis calendar again until 2004.
Yeah,
and it didn't become like a 1,000 level event until kind of around then or shortly after. So
I don't think it started becoming a 1,000 like a premier. 2009, yeah, that was. And who won it in 2009?
Do you want to look that up?
No, I feel like it was Yankovic.
It would make sense.
I feel like it was Yankovic. I might be wrong.
Because we've had players who've reached the final of both. Petra Kvitova, Linar, Simona Halep twice. I think Serena did it once. If I remember right, and someone else who I've missed.
Serena has been in the final of both before, in 2013, for sure. Yeah. She won Canada, got to the final of Cincy, and lost to Azarenka in 2013.
When Azarenka was still thorn on her side.
Honestly, I feel like she still would be if they played tomorrow.
I mean, 40-year-old Serena, I think, would find a lot of thorns on her side now.
True, but I feel like that one in particular, she wouldn't love that matchup. She never loved it. I mean, she was able to gear up for it, but I don't think she loved that matchup at all.
Sabalenka puts a forehand into the net, another 30-all point, 40-30. So I guess then, how crazy would it be? Because obviously we're talking about comparing Pegula and Goolagong. Goolagong has won 7 Grand Slams. Does this have? Yeah, I think it's 7 Grand Slams. Pegula hasn't won any yet. How crazy would it be if she did the Canada Cincinnati US Open triple?
In my mind, crazy. It's pretty crazy. I think Rafa on the men's side did that in 2013. It would be crazy if Pegula does it because I just don't. She hasn't given me the evidence to show that she is the biggest of the biggest big match player. Is she a big match player? Yes. Throughout the WTA tour and even the first week of a slam, she is pretty consistent, pretty darn consistent, and it's impressive, and she should be acknowledged for that. But there is that second week at a slam that she hasn't really cracked the code on, and there's been a lot of evidence that she hasn't. So until she does that, it's hard for me to envision her lifting a trophy on the final Sunday of a slam.
We've got a breakpoint chance for Aryna Sabalenka, who has absolutely dominated a rally there, eventually forcing Aaron from moving Pegula side to side. So we have breakpoint for Sabalenka to get the early lead in this Cincinnati Open final. And the first serve from Pegula is long. I'm going to stay with the point here because this is potentially a big moment. Sabalenka's waiting for the second serve. She looks primed and ready to pounce it like a tiger. Goes cross-court with the backhand return and puts it long. Never mind, deuce.
Has Sabalenka's return position ever been a thought of like, or just something that caught your eye? Because it's quite wide. It's actually wider than, to me, her shoulder. And that's typically where you kind of want your legs to align, or at least be shoulder width or just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. But her stance is quite wider than that, you know? And ever pay attention to that?
I've never really paid much attention to it. I did think, watching that close-up of her, that her legs are quite wide. I've never thought about it before. Her return was on point against Swiatek, because you got another break point here to Sabalenka to try and convert Pegula nets. We have a break for Sabalenka, 3-1.
I think she loves the conditions of these courts. A hot, sticky day on a speedy court that has Sabalenka's aggressive mentality written all over it.
Very, very much so. 3-1 she leads. And I liked the way that she broke in that last game. Obviously, I know you were probably watching it as well, but you're watching that as well. So give us your thoughts. It looked like Sabalenka was able to find a way to dictate rallies and be a bit more consistent with finding the court.
Yeah, she has that ability from pretty much the outset on serve or return. Pegula, if there's one attackable area in her court, is Pegula's serve, first or second, if Sabalenka really wants to be aggressive. So for her to kind of really have the say-so from the beginning of the rally each and every time is advantageous to her, or advantageous for her, especially when you factor in the speed of this court all week.
Something else that seems advantageous to her, she's very comfortable on serve. I think she held her last service game to love. And we can only put the opening game down to love. She's at 30 love already in very quick time. Yeah.
Which is interesting, because if you rewind just a few short weeks ago, the week after the Olympics in Washington, D.C., her first couple of matches were some struggles, even on serve. It was a little bit of a reckoning back to the 2022 Sabalenka, maybe I should put this in underarm days. But she's worked out the kinks, and she's done it right at the right time before the U.S. Open.
And you expect that, right? With recovering from a shoulder injury, you're going to be a bit rusty on that shot in particular. I think she was just rusty all over. She holds to love again, another ace.
Yeah, it makes sense now that we've had the benefit of hindsight. But at the time, watching her early round matches at DC, I was like, whoa, this is quite jarring, because I thought that it kind of worked out. But then that also goes to show that she really did have, something serious going on with the shoulder that she had to work out, which is why she pulled out of Wimbledon. So I give her credit, and I like the fact that she's kind of righted the ship and really honed her game for a tournament that she has a great shot of winning.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, what were your thoughts on Sabalenka's Toronto run? Because
a bit of the same thing from DC. Scratchy, but enough of her balls went in. She plays such a high risk game. Granted, from the Sabalenka that I was first introduced to from 2018, 2019, it's less high risk than that, but it's still in the category of like aggressive big ball striking. And when she's doing that on her best of best days, when those balls are falling in, sometimes there's just not much our opponent can do. And she had enough of those days between DC and Toronto to work her way through the draw. And the more you do that, I think you get a natural confidence that, hey, these balls are of course going to fall in the lines, because this is what I do. So it feels like that, coupled with the fast court I've mentioned ad nauseum now, she just feels comfortable. And that's what it looks like, especially in that semifinal yesterday against Iga, and then early on today against Pegula. It just seems like she's worked out the hesitation she may have had in her game.
Controversial question: is Sabalenka a fast court specialist?
Not necessarily a specialist. I think because her game is so aggressive and she has the ability to dictate from serve and return, she can do that on any of the courts these days because, you know, a lot of them are homogenized. But I think if she had it her way, she would prefer a court to be a little bit more speedy than slow.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, that's where she's thrived. If you look at recent years, Australian Open, 2-time champion, very fast there. Obviously, going Madrid is probably the weird exception to that because it's clay, but it's fast clay. I think what interests me actually is, you know, I remember after that Australian summer that she had in 2023, as Sabalenka wins a point again for forcing an error from Pegula, 15-all. The 2023, we were all about, oh, Sabalenka's really stepped it up. Look at all the work she's done on the serve. And then since that 2023 Australian summer where she was like out the blocks, best player on the planet at that for like that month, she's only won two titles, could be about to win her third since.
We say only, but some players in that same time frame have won one or zero. Yeah, 1 or 0. So, and I can name them. So, maybe she is like there is some trade-off to having such a big game that she has. It's you're not always going to put those balls in the lines that you really need to drop to be able to dictate the way she does. And I feel like that's indicative of how often she picks up titles. Like she does pick them up at a decent clip, and when she picks them up, they're largely big, significant titles. But week in, week out, there's some ebb and flow to that. And sometimes you come up against a player like a Pegula or a Pegula adjacent that just outsteadies you. You know. Funny comment. I'm reading you guys' comments on YouTube. Shawty said, Miles is such a fan of Pegula. This final was a treat for him. I can sense the sarcasm dripping off of your keyboard.
Yeah, I mean, look, at least Ghosty's not here because that's someone who's a fan of Pegula. If anyone doesn't know Ghosty from the chat, as Sabalenka hits a blistering winner to get his game to juice, Pegula having 2 game points. Yeah, I'm reading the chat as well, and like it kind of goes really quick, so I can't necessarily reply to everything in real time. And like Miles is being being really, really interesting right now. I think just want to reply to some things like Schwarner, you know, has I think I take people use the term specialist, meaning they only win in certain conditions. Mm-hmm. I take specialists to mean they're very best in certain conditions. That doesn't mean they don't win anywhere else or in any other kinds of conditions, because if you're a good player, you'll win anywhere. But there's a certain, I think there are players out there who would prefer things to be a certain way most of the time because they'd win a lot more.
Excuse my face, Nick, but Tennis Channel just put up a graphic that said Pegula just hit her first winner of the match.
Wow.
But yeah, Sabalenka on her good day can take the racket out of your hand in good ways and bad ways, so that you aren't even winning. You aren't even hitting winners. You're just reacting to what she's doing. So,
yeah.
But I do agree with your assessment, Nick, about specialty. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are, especially these days, maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it may have meant that. But these days, if somebody calls themselves a specialist, it just means that's where they're most comfortable, and they also have the results to show that, like a Medvedev on a hard court, and some other players. Like they're showing a graphic here of back-to-back finals that people have on the WTA tour have done that. Jessica Pegula is now in that category. Simona Halep has done it. Serena Williams, and Simona Halep is somebody that I think of. I would say she's comfortable across all surfaces, but I do think that her game and her mentality specializes on the clay courts. So that's kind of how I would align specialist, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example. Like, yeah, Halep on a clay court, that's where she really comes alive. But got a load of hardcore titles and a Wimbledon title.
Yay!
Sorry, I shouldn't bring that up with you in the room.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Can't change anything.
I mean, I did actually watch that final with someone who has links to Romania, so it was a very Halep biased room when I watched that match.
Hey, that's the thing about tennis. It's global. Everybody doesn't share the same sentiment about who their favorite player is and who they're rooting for. I mean, I'm sure there's players right in Cincinnati right now. Pegula is a American kind of through and through from Buffalo, New York, which is not that far from where they're playing. And I'm sure there's people in there that are rooting for Sabalenka to lift this trophy. So, hey, I mean,
there will be. I mean, Sabalenka's definitely got a big following in the US. I know that.
Yeah. Unless you are anti-grunter. Anti-grunters can't stand Sabalenka.
Are there many anti-grunters left in tennis?
You'd be surprised. Like a lot of people that I know, like they can watch Sabalenka like in a highlight reel on an Instagram clip, but an entire match is pretty much out of the question for them because of the grunting. It's just to their ears, which everybody's ears are set up differently. It's almost incessant and annoying, which I give credence for.
That's fine. I mean, as we've got another rally that ends with another Sabalenka win, and she holds that game to 15, and she's a game away from the first set. This is going very, very quickly. It feels like.
25 minutes into the set, Sabalenka's up 5-2.
Yeah, big. I think Sabalenka grunt is loud. I've never watched her live, but it sounds loud on the TV, but it's not the worst one I've heard by any means. Like I think Sabalenka is not that bad in the grand scheme of things. Like, I mean, Sharapova was just a full-on screech, and but actually the ones I like the least is the ones where it sounds like the player's being sick. I'm thinking couple of
Schiavone.
Schiavone. Yeah.
Yes, Schiavone.
I really struggled with her French Open finals.
Yeah, no, I get that. I completely understand. To me, as a WTA fan, a lot of grunting is just kind of in the package. Like my ears are desensitized to it because a lot of my favorite players have been grunters. So it only really shocks my ears when it is something that they start doing in a match where they haven't been doing it. But Sabalenka can up the grunts. Like if you go back and watch, I think you would love this match. And I'm sure you've watched it. But if you go back and watch her match against Swiatek at the US Open in 2022, there are clear moments where her grunting is louder than others because the moment is more stressful and probably tense for her. So yeah, she can get up there in full on screech mode. But I guess because of she actually has a deeper tone to her voice, and I guess you would quote unquote say most women do. And I think that is reflective also in her grunt too. So it's not a high pitched screech. It's just a very aggressive grunt.
Let's just say the grunting. I think that the person who was the first one to master the grunt was Monica Seles.
Yeah, I actually wish more people had. I know people are inspired by her, but I actually wish that more people were inspired to use two hands on both sides. Bartoli was, but it'd be nice to have that difference in just trajectory of the ball and game style on the WTA Tour again. It'd be nice.
What's making you think of Bartoli? Or was it the Seles thing?
No, yeah, the Seles thing, playing with both hands on both sides. Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, I know it can definitely handcuff you in tennis, but if you use it right, we've seen how it can be advantageous. So
I've played against people with double-handed forehands. Still don't understand how they get away with it.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely so I play in a local tennis league, and there's like one of the guys I play is inspired by Marion Bartoli in his game style. Yeah,
you never know what really makes you think about your game. Like I just rolled over one day and saw a bit of a play, and I was like, I kind of feel like her when I hit the ball because she's a lefty. The way she takes the cuts at it, I just felt like when I'm on the court, I tried to envision, well, how would Kvitova do this?
We've just had Pegula's first comfortable service hold, by the way.
Yes. Tennis Channel showing the average forehand topspin speed. Sabalenka's averaging 75 and Pegula's averaging 66, which is almost 10 full miles per hour difference. So that's why we're looking at a 5-3 advantage for Sabalenka with her serving to take the first set.
You're right, Shawana. Bartley was coaching a player at Wimbledon. Was it
Yastremska.
Oh, Yastremska. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's from what I remember. Yeah, I think they were together. Yeah.
Miles, do you want to answer Nerland's question, by the way? Sabalenka.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Nolan, Nolan's asking, do you think it's realistic for Iga to change her forehand style or grip at this point of her career? If not, what adjustments can she make for her to be successful on fast courts? Honestly, I think it would be a little unrealistic for her to change her forehand style and grip because she has a massive body of work to show her that this forehand grip and style is a positive thing on the WTA tour. I think it would just be like maybe fast twitch reaction and footwork on a fast court can really make a yield of a difference, in my opinion. So maybe just kind of work on that. But then again, she's not bad on a fast court because she made the semifinals of this event. Yeah. I mean, she was tested. It definitely wasn't pretty, but she wasn't terrible. She didn't go out first round to Gracheva.
2 years running. She's made Dubai finals.
Yeah.
Made US. She's won the US Open.
Yeah, so she's definitely not bad on it. Oh, that was great. Was that on set point for Sabalenka?
Set point, yeah. So first set point, Sabalenka gone 40-love, 40-15. Sorry, Miles. I do want to hear your thoughts on these things. But I think I just want to see the set get clear.
Oh, absolutely.
Closed out, and then hold your thought because I know you've seen Schwatty's question. I want you to answer it. Let's do that after the set. So hold your thought and then release. See if Sabalenka can release on this second serve. Taking some time before serving it. It's not as windy today in Cincinnati, interestingly, not like in recent days. Sabalenka gets the ball in play and a second serve unreturned. Game's first set Sabalenka, halfway to the Cincinnati title. Sorry to talk over you, Miles. Continue with your point.
I do not feel talked over at all, Nick. I feel like we are doing the song and dance of a tennis broadcast just as we would do if we were watching this in Cincinnati live from the broadcast booth. It's completely fine. That was pretty workmanlike from Sabalenka. She did the things that she does on the court to make herself as aggressive and a darn good tennis player as she does, and Pegula couldn't handle it. So 1 set to the good. As far as some of the questions in the chat, thank you guys for being engaged in the chat. That always makes these streams really fun. Shawty is asking, Shawty, I want you to change your username because I know who this is, but everybody else might not.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, I know who Shawty is. They're a frequent flyer in the Tuned Into Tennis Twitter spaces, which I also appreciate. What's the difference between Iga's forehand grip and Coco's? The grip itself. I'm not. Granted, before I say this, I don't claim to be like some technique guru because I'm not at all. But from the grip standpoint, Coco's might be just a smidge more extreme, but not by much. They're both full Western forehand grips, which is a common practice across men and women tennis players these days. It's just that Coco's wrist fluidity is nothing like Iga Swiatek's wrist fluidity. She doesn't break her wrist the same way. The take back is different. The bottom half of her body is doing something almost opposite of what the top half of her body should be doing to create a more solid and sustainable forehand that Iga does. That's the best way I can describe it. Like the grip itself, how they hold it is not that different, but everything else is pretty different.
It's more about swing through.
Yeah, it's the swing through, how they prepare for it with their feet, what they do with the follow through. All of those things are very different.
Joe, I don't necessarily expect you to keep up with these things, but I would love to get your thoughts because I think we had a little bit of an we kind of decided to disagree on like how much Coco needs to change her game. We had a bit of an exchange on Twitter over it. But I would love to. I don't know if you saw the post Wimbledon WTA Weekly episode that we did with Murta Tunga, who is a pro coach, and we asked him about Goff's grip. We didn't ask him about the
Where
swing,
is he?
though.
Where is he from? I think I did watch it, but I need to know where is he from?
Turkey.
Yes, I did watch that. It was the Turkey that stood out for me. Yes, I did watch that.
So he's from Turkey, and we had. If those of you missed it, go and check it out, because like this was one of my favorites. That conversation was just about after an hour into the show. It was probably like we were talking about Iga an hour in, and then I think we got to Coco about an hour and 5 hour 10. And I asked him about the grip and whether Coco needed to change it, and he basically said no. Same for Iga, because fundamentally that's what their game is based out of. Now I haven't asked him about the swing, but I think he made some interesting points around sort of the grip the players decide to get comfortable with. Their game kind of builds out from there. So I'd be interested in sort of hearing your thoughts on that conversation if you ever decide to revisit it.
The quickest thing I can say is actually a segue or like a link to this match, because Lindsay Davenport is calling it, and I've heard her say many times that the reason, especially more so on the WTA tour, that women have such extreme grips like that is because they are shorter in stature than a lot of the men that play on the ATP tour, and the ball jumps up higher. And in order to really control a high ball, that's where that grip is the best. A low skidding ball that's like really below your knees is not great for that grip. But when everything is high for you, when you're short and you're learning and you're a junior, that grip is doing wonders for you. But when you mature and players are playing more linearly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Linear, I can't get it out. But yes, like that grip can kind of yield its ugly head because things aren't bouncing as high.
Oh no. Sorry, I thought it was a double fault from Pegula. It's not.
You're fine. On a clay court, that's why we see Iga and Coco, to even another extent, shine on those clay courts, because the ball bounces up higher for them, and that grip doesn't cause them any issues.
That's definitely owner for Pegula. She's just nested a forehand again under pressure from Sabalenka during the rallies. What kind of grip does Sabalenka have? It's more traditional, isn't it? It's much more Eastern.
Yeah, it's not as extreme. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's full Eastern, like throwback to Lindsay Davenport herself, but it's semi-Western, because those are the three most common ones: Eastern, semi-Western, and Western. And you have a continental grip for your volleys and forehands. Your volleys and serves.
Okay, you're seeing the stats. You're seeing the stats come up, because Pegula's got 70% return points won. Sabalenka 40%. Sabalenka 88% first serves won. Very few players have any hope against her when it's that high. And frankly, Pegula doesn't need to worry about hitting 11 on 4 serves, because Sabalenka's just dominating the rallies anyway. I think that last rally that we saw for Sabalenka to break was kind of indicative there, because Pegula, I can imagine her being able to rally with pretty much anyone, and use her ability to redirect, to counterpunch, or to just basically wear down an opponent. Sabalenka's sheer weight of shot and the way the board is skidding through these conditions is not allowing her to do that.
And I made this point the other day when I was doing Pegula's semifinal. Pegula hits a great consistent ball from the ground, which is great to have in your arsenal, but it can definitely work against you if you're playing somebody like Sabalenka. If you keep giving them the same look on the ball, not different heights, she's going to just be playing batting practice with it, whether it's cross court or down the line. And if she's feeling good, that's always going to go one way for her. She may lose a couple because, you can't win them all, but for the most part, she's going to be dictating that if you feed her the same ball over and over again.
Does Pegula do that usually? Is that, do you feel like Pegula feeds people the same ball all the time?
I do. Yeah. I feel like she's very consistent, which is, again, it's not a bad thing. You would like to be able to recreate your ground strokes over and over very well, very flat, very linearly through the court. But if you do it the exact same way, like how many times have you seen Pegula throw in a very, very sharp, or like a sharp angle that's not because her opponent has pushed her out that much, or a slice, or like really coming over the backhand heavy and doing the Krejcikova moonball thing? Like, she may have those things in her arsenal. It's just that typically she doesn't show them.
Yeah, I think she uses them on clay court. I've seen her do them on clay courts. And a little bit, the slice comes out on grass as well, but on a hard court, she probably doesn't necessarily feel the need to do that. because I do see what you mean. She does generally give people kind of same kind of ball. I saw Pegula at Wimbledon actually this year, and I was just impressed by how, when she's on, how fast her ball actually is, and how she's able to control things against sort of the lower ranked opponents. It's just obviously when she gets to the top people, it becomes a very different story. But I can see why, if you're giving a top class player a consistent ball and they're going to learn from it and deal with it, they're going to have an off day for her to kind of hit through them.
Yep. That's why she pretty much beats a lot of players beneath her when she's putting that game style to the forefront. And that's why you get, like we just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, those 7-6 in the third matches at Charleston, because like the longer you play, the longer you get adjusted to her very similar type of ball. So that's why you get those long matches where she really has to scrape and fight, because she's kind of worked her opponent into knowing what to expect from her. Whether she knows it or not, her opponent's gotten used to the Pegula ball.
I mean, doesn't mean she can't beat him, because she's got wins over Sabalenka and Swiatek. Yeah,
some days it goes your way, but it definitely is. If I had to choose, I would rather, I think I would enjoy coaching somebody like a Sabalenka more than a Pegula. The core of the game with Pegula is a lot more stable than Sabalenka, but the benefit, kind of the risk for the reward, is what you get when you have a player like Sabalenka.
There we go. And let's face it though, Miles, your dream coaching job would be Petra Kvitova.
Yes, because I feel like she does a lot of what Sabalenka does, but in a very lefty kind of way, which I appreciate.
Huge forehand return from Aryna Sabalenka to get to 40-30. Like, that was practically a winner. It was like really pulled Jess well out of court. So there we go. Flying Yogi, by the way, about 3 minutes ago, put a question in the chat about whether Pegula is going to see any land on Aryna's service game so far. So you mean inroads? I mean, like, she hasn't since the opening service game, really, to be honest. And like the last service game where Aryna conceded 1 point, but like, the opening service game is the only time where Pegula's had any kind of any kind of in on her serve.
Yep, would agree. Sabalenka's been keeping it kind of quiet, which is a good thing on her serve, because as I mentioned earlier in the stream, the serve was shaky a couple weeks ago. I think I would enjoy coaching Robin Montgomery, actually. She's an up-and-comer who's a lefty. She has a big cut on the ball.
The matches I've seen with Robin, I've been very excited about. Like, she keeps getting put in my long list for like people to watch at Grand Slams.
And she's in qualifying. It's a little, I feel two ways about her not getting a wild card, because like in some ways she's done enough to deserve one, but in other ways I think there's a lot of advantages for winning 3 matches in the qualifying and kind of getting your groove that way. So she's in qualifying this week.
3 years ago.
Yeah. There was another question I thought I saw. Nerlin jokingly asked if I wanted to, if I could give everything up to see Bencic return before the end of the year. Bencic is a very pure ball striker, not necessarily with oodles of power, but she does time the ball impeccably well. I just can't say that like I think of her often as like, ooh, let me go watch that Bencic match. It's her matchups shine her game shines depending on who the matchup is, where I feel like other people's games that I like shine almost regardless of that.
That's fair enough. Yeah. We're back on court as Sabalenka serving at 2-1 in this second set, setting a break up in the Cincinnati final. Yeah, Bencic, I think she went back till Australia, probably. I think she is taking this full year off.
She should, yeah. Enjoy being a mom, especially in those early weeks and months. I know it's beautiful.
Certainly, a lot of the players who have come back from maternity this year, I'm thinking of Kerber and Osaka, would say the same thing as well. I know Osaka didn't have the best time initially, but
I think she's. I mean, you just really have to keep in mind that like we're in August, and in July of last year, Osaka was literally in labor. So all things considered, I think her being in the top 100, it's obviously not where she wants to be, but it is a win because she could not be there. So hey.
Yeah, I'm still excited to see what she does at the US Open, even if she has gone off the boil a little bit.
I'm excited to see what she does like in this like second half of her career period, because I think she turns 26. Does Osaka at the end of the year? I know she's a Libra, so her birthday's coming up.
You have to remember people's birthdays.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you guys ever want to like me to dive into the zodiac of tennis players, let me know. I might be able to create that video one day.
That can be tuned to tennis content. 40 Love Sabalenka very much in control of this match, it has to be said. Another unreturnable, and Pegula is looking very annoyed. She's kind of talking to her box, but I get the sense that she doesn't feel like she can do very much with what's coming at her.
I can't blame her, but this is what she like. This is kind of what I not going to say expected, but when you asked me like Pegula matches that stick out, this similar like little instance she just had her coaching box was a trend throughout her match in the quarterfinals of Australia against Azarenka, and it also came to bear in her quarterfinal match against Vondrousova. When things get tight, that even keelness in Pegula can kind of, which I mean is natural, it's human, but that even keelness kind of, I don't want to say goes out the window, but the window does come down and some different emotions come up. So,
can you think of a tennis player that doesn't happen to?
No, but it's just so interesting because most of those players, they're already kind of emotive. But Pegula, for the most part, she is so even. Like, just like her game, her temperament is so even most of the time. But in the biggest of the biggest matches, I've seen it kind of be foiled, which is interesting to me because all the other matches, she's fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, because, like, is a Grand Slam quarterfinal really that much bigger than a 1,000 final?
Yes, it is. People remember the last four of a slam more so than they do who won a 1,000. And every 1,000 is not the same because some have more popularity than others. But I do believe if you were to poll a large audience and ask who were the semifinalists of the US Open comparative to who won the Canadian Open in 2020, whatever, I'm pretty sure they'd be able to recollect those semifinalists, especially if they played a really good semifinal or had a good run to the semifinal that was memorable, i.e. Tiafoe 2022, so.
Huge backhand winner from Sabalenka, 30-all. And, we're talking about this. The reality is that, like, I'm not surprised Jessica Pegula is a bit frustrated because that's like, I don't think she can do anything against what Sabalenka's throwing at her right now. Like, if she gets a racket on it, which half the time she's not, the weight of shot is just so difficult to control. That was a good serve from Pegula, though, to get to 40-30, unreturnable. Sabalenka struggled with that one.
If she could get a couple more free points on her serve, this match and set wouldn't feel as one-sided as it feels so far. I mean, she's still in it. Sabalenka could go off the boil, but I think she's in a position where she needs Sabalenka to go off the boil. She's not going to be able to win this match without that.
Oh, painful double fault from Pegula. Double deuce.
See?
But, like, so far, it's only been 2 breaks.
Yeah, but even like 2 breaks coupled with Sabalenka not having issues really on her serve, it feels like more than 2 breaks when your opponent is not having an issue on serve. Now, if Sabalenka or if Pegula was really in every service game, it would feel different. But that's why breaks are important, especially if you can hold your serve.
Pegula takes a high-risk second serve that kicks up to the Sabalenka backhand, and the Sabalenka backhand isn't able to control it. It goes over the baseline. That was some good serving there, but I get the sense that Pegula is very much feels under pressure to do something with the serve to keep Sabalenka on the back foot as much as possible, because she knows she gives her anything like a neutral ball, Sabalenka's killing it, as Pegula does hold. So it's still only 1 break in the set, 3-2 Sabalenka.
Yep. I'm glad that she processed that that kind of shouting match to her box. It wasn't a shouting match, but I'm glad she processed that and internalized it and came up with some good serves to keep her in touch in the second set.
Yeah, just having a check. Nothing. I don't think there's anything necessarily to respond to in the chat. They seem to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
which is a great franchise, by the way. You know it, right, Nick?
I know it. I never actually watched it. I never grew up with it. I'm not sure why, but there's nothing wrong with it. It looks a lot of fun.
I think Michelangelo is the one that was with the orange accents. Was it D'Angelo or Raffaangelo?
I don't. I have no
well,
idea.
I know the colors.
Here,
I know I can help you. I know the colors were orange, red, purple, and blue. I know one was Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, and the purple one's name is escaping me. I can't think of it. Somebody tell me.
I think they're all named after Italian artists anyway.
No, yeah, but I can't think of the one that is the one that had the purple, and I can't think of his long weapon.
Well, it looks like we've got Kadanudi, the umpire, kind of dancing along to the music. I don't know what they're playing, but
Kadanudi is also really good at de-escalating situations. When I think about like really feverish interactions with chair umpires, it may just be because of his voice. Yeah, it doesn't happen with him very often. It may just be a process of his voice being very soothing. But for the most part, if there's any drama on the tennis court, Kadanudi just lets it flow very nicely. I appreciate him for that.
By the way, Clinton's got
Donatello. Thank you, Thank you, Clinton. Donatello was the purple one. Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Leonardo. Yeah.
There we go. And then that's how everyone learned about Renaissance artists. We're into a rally here. Sabalenka tried to kind of serve and volley, but Pegula pushed her back and caught her in no man's land. And now they're into a neutral rally. Pegula slices there. Sabalenka counter slices. Backhand Pegula into the net. 40 love. That was a chance for Pegula to kind of make something of that rally. But just maybe the slice didn't disrupt Sabalenka as much as she thought it would.
Sabalenka's impressed me with that forehand slice that she's added into her game a little bit more, bit by bit. Like she did definitely incorporate a little bit more of a drop shot to get her to that first Australian Open title. But the more and more I watch her, obviously the major part of her game is big swinging. But, you know, when she's pushed, the forehand chop shot over the years has gotten better. Swana just brought up the fact that Sabalenka has 0 double faults, by the way.
Yeah, which is crazy because, like, obviously Sabalenka goes for so much, and I know the double faults are not as bad as they once were, but they still pop up every now and again. But this just shows how well she is playing right now, how confident she is in both her serves. Yeah, great stat, Sean.
Sabalenka is making her statement right now that, hey, I'm one to beat in New York. If you thought about it, then yeah, but watch this match. And if I play like this at the US Open, it's going to take a hell of a performance to beat me.
Yeah, backhand up the line winner from Sabalenka from Pegula after knocking her back with a return. And Sabalenka's looking for the double break here. Gets a returning play for this Pegula first serve. And she's teeing off that forehand there. Still going right behind her. Slice from Sabalenka. Trying to slice the forehand. Does not work. She was off balance and it's 15 all. But yeah, on your point about sort of being favourite for New York, I think she definitely would put herself top of the list. Typically, not every year, but more years than not, even throughout the last 20 years or so, the champion of the US Open has won one of either Indian Wells, Miami, Canada, or Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
With only a minority of cases where there's an exception. In the same season, which is an interesting thing. So, like, if you're going to look for your US Open favorites, you've got to start with that list.
I think if you're looking at U.S. Open favorites, you look at the semifinals of Cincinnati this year. I mean, Paula Badosa would be the most unlikeliest because she's the lowest ranked out of the four. But Sabalenka, Sabalenka, Pegula, and who was Sabalenka's semifinal opponent?
Swiatek.
Oh, Iga, yeah. Sabalenka, Iga, and Pegula.
Pegula's actually held to 15. She actually came through that service game pretty well.
That was a good one for her, yeah.
Yeah, like she's keeping herself in this set. Like, let's not completely write her out. Like right now, it's going to take a dip from Sabalenka to not go her way, but Pegula's keeping herself kind of in the mix. But yeah, I'd agree with your assessment that you have to look at the full. And look, obviously, let's face it, if Sabalenka gets the job done, then you've got that kind of overlaps with both of us. But Badosa wouldn't shock me if she ever won a slam. I think she wouldn't have done before the injury problems, especially after when she won that Indian Wells title. But I guess now when there's all this question of like, can she push through the pain for 7 matches?
That seems like a big ask. Yeah.
Than, her talent.
Badosa winning 7 matches in a row without some kind of physical ailment seems like a stretch. Pegula winning 7 matches at a row at the biggest of the biggest event seems like it just not even seems like it. She's proven that she hasn't been able to do that. And then Iga and Sabalenka have proven that they can win on hard courts, one, and that they're great, amazing players. So I think Sabalenka currently is just a little bit more of an edge to get to be a favorite at the U.S. Open than Iga, but Iga's right behind her. So.
Yeah, would you? I mean, yeah, over at Iga, regardless of the match, yeah, probably, given the conditions are slightly favor the way Sabalenka plays slightly more than the way Iga plays.
And there's the one thing, we haven't mentioned this at all, but the U.S. Open is taking a beat from what Australia did this year, and you won't the atmosphere is going to change a little bit more. You don't have to be a fan and wait until the odd games to walk around to your seat. You can do it every game, and I don't think, in my mind, that's not going to go over well with Iga. I think she wants it to be a lot more calm more often in a tennis match. Whereas Sabalenka, I feel like, she'll be okay.
I think it's going to depend. I think it depends on sort of the match that they're playing. I think it also depends on as Sabalenka hits a backhand winner. And then, that was a weird moment for Sabalenka. She just sort of threw the ball toss up and then sort of seemed to like completely lose where it is and didn't swing through it. It was like not really a bad ball toss. It was like she forgot to swing, and she's got her such a Barbie face look on. If you think of that moment from the press conference she had. But she aces
the sun got in her eye.
Love.
The sun probably got in her eye. It's been really sunny today out there.
Yeah, it does look like that. She completely lost track of the ball. Yeah, weird moment, but she got the point anyway. And an unreturnable serve again for 40 love. Yeah, I think, but like going back to your point, I think players prefer to have a consistent atmosphere. So if people are just walking around all the time, it might not be that bad, and Iga will just adjust to it.
But I do think it'll be something that she's not necessarily in love with if she's in a match that is tight or an opponent that is kind of making her be on her toes a little bit more than she's accustomed to. I can see that being just an extra layer of something for her to think about, and could go wrong.
Backhand winner up the line from Sabalenka, 5-3.
She's playing so well. She's playing so well.
I mean, you can't not admire Sabalenka when she's playing like that. Like I find it hard to believe, like, that you can't admire the sort of power, not necessarily power, but sort of the kind of confidence of those shots that she can hit.
Yeah, it's when she's confident in swinging as large as she does with aggression, and the ball's going in. Like there's just Pegula's finding out firsthand. There's just really not much you can do. It really isn't.
That being said, that Pegula's doing her very best. She's just actually managed to scramble Sabalenka with a drop shot, so it's 30 love.
Yeah, she's won 6 games. in this match so far. So I mean, it's definitely nothing to like be like, oh, I got my ass kicked out there. But the ebb and flow and dictating of the match is just not with Pegula's racket. It's with Sabalenka's, and if Sabalenka's playing her best, it's always going to be like that.
Yeah, I feel like Sabalenka's less in Pegula's service games than she was kind of at the beginning of the match. I think Pegula has steadied the ship a little bit.
Would agree, yeah.
Although she's just dragged that forehand a little bit wide there. So it's 30-15. But yeah, I guess she could say that when she looks back at this, that if she'd been a bit more, if she'd kind of settled in a bit quicker, or been a bit more, found the serve a bit sooner, as she does there with an unreturnable, this match would be potentially tiebreak territory.
Mm-hmm.
And she make it even closer, and then all bets are off. Sabalenka probably still wins it from a neutral. I mean, Pegula would be able to convince herself that a slight adjustment would put a bit more in it.
Pegula has some game points here, and Sabalenka still has to close this match out, which got tricky just a day ago in her semifinal. So, you know, tennis is not over until it's actually over. And Sabalenka knows that.
Double fault for Pegula to get to 40-30. That Pegula, that's her fourth double fault of the match. You've got a slice return from Sabalenka on the forehand, who then attacks with a backhand. Pegula overhits the forehand. It's due. Sabalenka's 2 points away from the title. Big moments here in Cincinnati, potentially. And I think Nolan's question's already been answered in the chat by the producer. But yeah, Emma Raducanu is in the top 100. She was in the top 100 after Wimbledon. She gets into the US Open automatically, so she's playing.
Yep. Would have liked to see her play at one of these tournaments, though.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. It's one of those things that we'll say whether it's a good idea or a bad idea after the US Open.
Sabalenka, it's one of those things. What? Sorry.
Sabalenka pulls the forehand into the tram lines, and it's 5-4. Sabalenka's going to have to serve this championship out. No, I was going to say, like with the Raducanu situation, we'll find out whether it was a bad idea for her to skip these tournaments and not play qualifying.
She did play DC and she got some wins. She actually lost to Badosa, so it's not like she hasn't played in months and months. But I would have liked to see her try her hand at qualifying for at least Toronto or Cincy. And if not that, then I don't see why it would be a bad idea for her to be in the Cleveland draw that's happening this week as we speak. Her ranking would have qualified her for that, and it would have been a nice tune-up. Whether she played and finished all of her matches, it would have given me a better idea of how she's playing instead of having to go a couple weeks back to DC. But at least DC is something, and she didn't play terribly there. So hey,
yeah, I guess as what I'm saying is we'll find out whether it was a bad idea for her not to do that after the US Open. If she gets the fourth round again, we're going to be saying, oh well, it didn't matter. Maybe it was a good idea for her to be fresh. If she goes out in round one, then we're going to be going, well, she should have played qualies and got some matches under her belt a bit closer than Washington.
She's also interesting because I think that picture of her in the hospital bed with surgically affected wrists and ankles was a year ago, right? That was a little over a year ago?
Just a little over a year ago, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, her being back again, somebody back inside the top 100 after something that could have, who knows what happens when you get surgeries on your wrist and your ankles. That's quite a lot. Her being back in the top 100, it could be worse. I know that's hard to kind of digest for some Raducanu fans, but
Sabalenka, nervy forehand into the net, love 15. That's the first forehand I've seen her hit for a while that didn't really have a lot of confidence behind it. Didn't really hit through it. Answer producer's question, by the way. I think Raducanu served for it. I don't remember her having match point, but it was a very close match with Badosa in Washington. And I think, if things had gone slightly differently, she could have been the one holding that trophy instead of Paula. But that's a tangent because we've got a very tight first serve from Sabalenka that's gone off the top of the net and well out. Love 15, second serve. It double fault. The first Sabalenka double fault. It's love 30. What is happening? Is this Sabalenka in closing out matches She always has to make this difficult for herself.
She does. I like when she does this little thing right here. Like, oh boy.
I remember you at the 2023 Australian Open, Miles, because we did the stream together with Ashley. Hi, Ashley, who's in the chat now. And
we did
I
call that
remember
final,
you
didn't we?
being,
Wow.
Yeah, I remember you were so like invested. I'll say invested in that match.
Yeah, I really wanted Sabalenka to be a Grand Slam champion. She did everything else pretty much. So
huge forehand cross court from Sabalenka that hits the line, and yeah, that backhand's just too good. She could have placed it anywhere. She went cross court. Pegula would have no hope of running that down. It's 15-30. Obviously, we've got a stat in the chat from the producer that Sabalenka's not won a 1,000 title since Madrid last year. She's not won any title since Madrid last year. No, Australian Open. Any tour level title since Madrid.
8 month, 7 month-ish drought, 7 month drought. Like, hey.
Yeah. But she's in the mix now. She's up the line with a backhand. Pegula's scrambling that in. Short. Sabalenka's sliced forehand. Oh, that was brave. It was really close to the line, but she gets the point 30-all. She's locked back in now.
That was very brave of her to kind of switch up, because she could have come over that shot with the topspin forehand, and she didn't. Thinking out there, thinking.
Yeah.
But that's also one of those shots that she had missed it. It'd be like, what were you thinking? So
yeah,
double-edged sword.
I said slice. It was kind of more of a drop shot in the end, but still worked. First serve missed from Sabalenka. Absolutely knife edge time. 30-all second serve. We're into tense game territory here.
Tense. Very tense.
And she's abandoned the second serve. Ball toss. She abandons it. That one she's got a bit more of a serious face on here. Game face on for Aryna Sabalenka. Oh, there's some noise now. She's getting distracted. Shaking her head.
She's tight.
Yeah. Second serve delivered. Pegula scoops up. Forehand Sabalenka cross court short. Forehand Pegula lifted up. Forehand. Very tentative forehands from both. Sabalenka nets. 30-40.
Tight. Does
Very
Pegula, she's already made it interesting in this game, but does she make this whole complex of this match a lot more interesting in the next 30 seconds or so? Or does Sabalenka right the ship?
Has someone screenshotted the 6-3, 5-3 deuce scoreboard with Jessica Pegula won this match?
I'm sure Vanch has.
Vanch, I don't know if you're watching. Here we go. Second serve from Sabalenka. Block back return from Pegula. The forehand from Sabalenka is lifted over the baseline. Pegula fist pumps because she's back in the match. It's 5 games all.
Tight.
Yeah. You're going to hear this word a lot, guys. 5 games all.
I don't know who that is in her coaching box. Maybe it's not somebody in her coaching box. They just had her fist up like that. That was a big break.
The American crowd's got something to get behind now. Those who are purely patriotic. And here for the American. All right. Jamari's got some fire stats in the chat, by the way. Before that game, Pegula only won 4 return points. I'm assuming just in this set. And then Pegula just won 4 return points to break for 5-5. But Pegula just double faulted to open her account in this game. We're not going for tight here from Miles, though. Love 15.
I think things are just resetting a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sabalenka does what a big champion does and kind of digs in here.
There's a let cord from Pegula. First serve up the tee. Forehand right in the middle of the court. Sabalenka's going to tee off on the inside. Out forehand. What a winner. Nice. Right near the line. Pegula's looking at it going, are we sure? It was. It just grazed the line according to the electronic line calling, which is not faultless, but you can't argue with it.
In Ostapenko's mind, it's not faultless at all.
I think it's been proven it's not faultless. I think it can be misaligned.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's what in life is faultless? Nothing.
It's slightly more accurate than a human, but it's still not perfect.
I wish I had some Shakespearean quote about perfection.
Well, whilst Miles rifles through the complete works of Shakespeare, in fact, I have a copy on my shelf. Anyway, it's 15:30, so big points here. Just by the way, producer can just imagine me bring out a copy of Even the Defeats to show, but sadly I don't have one. Forehand from Pegula up the middle of the court, and Sabalenka shanks a forehand. Daddy all. Yeah, maybe that's what my bookshelf is missing. A book about Manchester United. I need to reorganize this if this is going to be my background from now on. Please, nothing. My commentary is full of mistakes. Miles' shrubbery is just pure plant perfection.
Pure something needs to be behind me while I talk, so I might as well just choose those things. I'm still working on how to get I'm working on how to get tennis rackets behind my head, but we'll work on it.
That is an amazing point from Sabalenka. Like, pretty good point from both, but the way Sabalenka just unleashed on the forehand, clips the baseline. She's got herself break point.
Tennis is amazing with this score system. That's why I don't really care if matches go best of 5 sets. You can have so much drama because of the way the score system is set up. Sorry, I know that's controversial to some people.
For missing that return, she's put it in the net. Juice.
She didn't get under that one. Kind of straight legs, no bend. Kind of lifted over the net. That's why I landed in the middle of the net.
I do agree with you, though. Tennis doesn't need best of 5 sets to be exciting. I do love an epic best of 5 match where it's between 2 elite players, but you can also get something special with best of 3. As Pegula's forced into an error with an inside-out backhand from Sabalenka, another shot that's not typical, but Sabalenka has specialized in, and we've got another breakpoint chance for the number 3 seed. She roars. The tigress is out.
She just leans so much on that backhand. I love to see it. She leans very well on it.
Has Pegula really hit the 0 forehand winners? I guess we'll find out. Backhand cross court from Sabalenka on the attack on second serve. Goes up the line with the backhand again. Pegula's really scrambling everything back, and she goes long under pressure from Sabalenka, who breaks and is going to have another bite of the cherry to serve this match out 6-5.
I think she plays much better when she has kind of let out the frustration, if that makes any sense, from Sabalenka. Like, Jamari's really great stats about how many match points she's needed to really go over the line. A lot of her big titles, Australian Open 2023 against Rybakina, multiple match points. Madrid last year against Swiatek, multiple match points. Against Swiatek just a day ago, 10 match points. That's not ideal, but I do think when she kind of gets through those things, it's just she starts flying. We'll see in this service game. We'll see.
She did a few match points against Zheng Qinwen in the Australian Open final, didn't she?
Oh. I think, yeah, more than one.
I think it was like 4.
Yeah, but again, that's the beauty of the scoring system in tennis. You could do everything right to get yourself to match point, but if you don't win that, you've not won the match. You can't. There's no like bouncing of the ball until the time goes out. You have to win the final point. You have to. No one's going to do it in singles besides you.
Do we think Sabalenka gets tight in like the first time she's having to do it, like in terms of like serving it out and like wanting to get it done quickly, and then when there's a reset, when she's pushed, then something wakes up and she gets the job done because it's not all on her. She feels like she has to beat the opponent rather than not stop herself from losing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It changes the mindset. I mean, that's a great call, actually, Nick. Like when she said something very like it wasn't profound, but it did give me a glance into her mindset with what is his name that does the tennis channel? desk. His name on the tip of my tongue. Dang it.
I don't know. 15 love, by the way, from Sabalenka, who, again, just completely battering Pegula with huge ground strokes that inevitably eventually either get through or force an error.
Did they call him P? What do they call him?
Prakash?
Yes, Prakash. Prakash Armitage?
Yeah.
Yes. Sabalenka was talking to him directly after that semifinal, and she said that in tight moments she's not thinking. it's purely instinctive and reactive, and I think that's why you get some of her best tennis in tight moments where she's not having to think about controlling her game. She just lets her game do her thing, and there's going to be some errors with that because that's just how she plays. But when she's instinctive and doing those aggressive things, you get a good Sabalenka.
Great serve from Sabalenka. 30-15. It's an ace. Sean, I don't think Sabalenka qualifies if she wins the title. I think she's going to be on the verge of qualifying, though. She's like virtually qualified. I think
she'll be there, though. Yeah, it's a matter of time.
I think she just needs a decent US Open run and she'll get
Oh, yeah. And she also, I think the WTA has implemented that similar ATP plan where if you've won a slam and you're in the top 20 in the race, you automatically qualify regardless of if you're top 8 or not. I think
Which is about freaking time they did that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Championship points. Sabalenka again cruising to this on this point. 40-15. Let's see if she closes this out. How many championship points is she going to need? 40-15. First serve is wild. Well out. Trying to go up the T serve. So now the T word is on the tip of Miles's tongue. Let's see if it's needed. Second serve. Pegula on the attack, mid-court. First forehand from Sabalenka is brutal, and Pegula can't pick it over the net. Sabalenka raises her hands. She only needed the one championship point. Job done, as Sean is saying in the chat. She is the 2024 Cincinnati champion. And maybe, just maybe, no, not even that, maybe, to be honest, she is now the red-hot favourite for the US Open. What a performance all week. I don't think she's dropped a set. She didn't look like losing to anyone. And credit Jessica Pegula for making it a little bit of a contest and keeping it to a break per set. But let's face it, there was no one winning in Cincinnati other than Aryna Sabalenka this week, Miles.
With those court conditions and the way she was able to play controlled aggression for a week and a half or so in Cincinnati, like you said, she makes herself a clear favorite in New York, having made the final just last year, enjoying the atmosphere of New York. She is one to beat. If she can keep it together like she kept it together in this final, even when Pegula pushed back, yeah. If I'm making my draw, she's in championship weekend.
You would put her in the championship weekend for pretty much any slam at the minute. I mean, she's super consistent across like all the slams, as we know. Like, I think only the shoulder injury stopped her from making the French. Don't want to put down Andreeva's performance, but I think Sabalenka's problem gave her an opening. But yeah, I would say, I would agree with you. Like, anyway, like you would be foolish not to put her in your final four for any slam. And then the question is, well, then does she go on and win it? And at the US Open, there aren't any. I think that Świątek is going to be breathing down her neck.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
But Sabalenka is going to be the one that everyone's going to be watching to see how serene her progress is. Of course, this is Aryna Sabalenka, not Serena, as Jessica Pegula thought.
Is that what Jessica Pegula thought? Maybe she felt like she was playing her today. Who knows?
Did you not see her post-match interview in the semifinals?
No. What did she say? I didn't see that.
So Pegula misheard the interviewer. So, she was like, so she beat Badosa, and the interviewer was like, so you're playing Aryna in the final, and Jessie misheard her and thought she said Serena and did a double take. I was like, wait, I'm playing Serena in the final?
Well, she is one of the few people that knows what that feeling feels like. She lost to Serena in a 2020 final, so she's actually the last person to lose to Serena in a WTA final, right? Yeah. Not bad. Something to tell your grandparents about. I mean, to your grandchildren. Your grandchildren.
I was the last
grandparents.
Yeah, because that was Auckland 2021 or 2020?
2020, pre-pandemic. We hadn't realized how crazy the world could get when Serena won that title in Auckland yet.
Okay, so Serena never won a title post-pandemic.
No.
Shame.
We have plenty to look through, though. I think the Serena Williams fans just uploaded like a whole 12-minute compilation the other day of pure return winners against Sharapova's serve, which I couldn't have watched that if I was. I can't imagine Sharapova experiencing that, just the ball whizzing by her every time she served.
By the way, I know you were talking. This is not a massive tangent, but like that Serena show that they're doing at the minute, because obviously it's 25 years since she won the US Open.
Mm-hmm.
It's not available in the UK, which is a shame because I would have been really interested in watching that.
That's so strange that it's not, because it's on a streaming platform. You could literally.
Okay. Which
you
platform?
could literally just purchase ESPN Plus. Like it shouldn't matter where you are in the world. Like you're having to, like, can't you watch Netflix anywhere in the world? Like what I watch on Netflix is relatively what you can watch on Netflix.
It does vary what country you're in.
Oh, boo. The powers that be. Boo, the powers that be. But it's a really, really good show. Small plug. I have been doing a series recapping what's been revealed in ESPN's In the Arena docu-series featuring Serena Williams. So if you're not subscribed to Tuned Into Tennis, make sure you do that. I'm trying to hit 500K. Me and Talking Tennis, the team at Talking Tennis. I love doing this, but if you're ever looking for an extra tidbit of tennis information, check out Tuned Into Tennis. We appreciate it.
Love it. So, by the way, I think Nerlan asked a question about who Sabalenka lost to at Wimbledon. She didn't play. She was injured. So, and I think someone else in the chat made a point that Sabalenka probably could have won Wimbledon if she played it, if she was fully fit. Because, I mean, maybe Krejcikova could have sprung a surprise in a final or something. But
Krejcikova probably feels like she's still on cloud 9 because she probably didn't expect to be a Wimbledon champion. But as far as her U.S. Open lead up, has she played anything?
No, she hasn't. I think she played the Olympics, but I don't think she played Toronto or Cincinnati. And she's going to be seeded 8 at the U.S. Open anyway. Maybe she felt like
she didn't medal anywhere at the Olympics, did she? She didn't medal in doubles.
She went out I think she lost to Schmeichler in the last 16 in the singles, and then she went out to the Andreeva Schneider combo in the women's doubles in the quarters with Siniakova.
Swarner, that's a good one. Krejcikova was playing pickleball this week. A lot of tennis players are playing pickleball. Not my favorite thing to play, but
It's clear that Krejcikova has decided, like Sakari, to just go into the Olympics, to the US Open as fresh as possible.
She has nothing to defend. Krejcikova may have lost first round of US Open last year too, or thereabouts. I know Sakari lost first round because there was this drama with her smelling cannabis or something of that sort on the back courts. But neither of them have nothing to defend. So I guess they feel like, hey, it's the last Grand Slam of the season. Let's go in there and play the kind of tennis that I know I can. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, then it's been a pretty good season for me all around, I guess. You guys don't remember when Sakari was complaining that some of the courts at the U.S. Open smelled like marijuana? I remember that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's I mean, look, it's a good thing they don't play tennis near where I live. That's all I'm going to say.
Same.
Okay. Yeah, can't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Nerlan, I'm seeing your messages. I'm sorry, I don't know how that's going to work. If you are being genuine.
Is Kanta the one that did the call for you? Like, is it Sky Sports, Nick?
I don't know because I'm not listening to it.
Oh, I wasn't listening to, but I thought you saw her face. I thought you said Kanta. Did you say Kanta? Or
No. Talking no. No,
oh,
I think
sorry.
Naomi Brody, mainly. Naomi Brody, who is an excellent. I mean, Joe Conter, Naomi Brody, and Laura Robson, all excellent commentators. Like probably the 3 best commentators in the world right now, on British tennis and British channel. Right, let's get back to the match because we've gone well off topic. A little bit. This happens sometimes with us, especially when you get me and Miles in the room. They're doing the presentation ceremony right now. The umpire's getting his memento, yet another one. So yeah,
can I tangent really quickly? Just really quickly. I wonder what
sure.
the chair umpires do with those little mementos that they like. Like, do they have their own trophy cabinet that we don't know about, or people don't really inquire about? Because they always get included in these trophy ceremonies.
I mean, if I was an umpire, I would.
Yeah.
So thoughts on? I think let's do the people who are kind of coming up, because I think Pegula is going to be giving her speech. Jessica Pegula, thoughts on her performance today? I know we're kind of saying about maybe she maybe didn't have a lot, or maybe didn't have enough to beat Sabalenka. I would say she didn't have enough to beat Sabalenka, who was firing red hot today. But I still think she acquitted herself well. I don't know whether you want to comment on that.
No, I do think she acquitted herself very nicely, especially when it was, back against the wall, Sabalenka serving for the tournament, and she was able to squeak out a break in that moment. She played really well all week. There were ebbs and flows in her matches, but she was able to kind of steady herself out when it really mattered, especially in that semifinal against Badosa, when Badosa stepped it up. So I think she goes into the U.S. Open with as much confidence. Actually, she should go into the U.S. Open with the most confidence she's had all year, because Canada in our Cincinnati final sets her up nicely personally. And I will hold myself to the fire if this is the case on the final Saturday, or that's the women's final on the Saturday of the U.S. Open. If Pegula's holding that trophy, hey, more power to her. That means that she has been further in a Grand Slam than she ever has, and has finally won one. I just do not leave Cincinnati thinking that much changes in that regard. Is she back to like playing consistent Pegula tennis? Yes. But consistent Pegula tennis is not Grand Slam winning tennis to me yet. Hate to kind of be like be sour about it, but I'm not convinced that she's broken new ground to become a contender at the Grand Slams.
It does depend on what happens in the rest of the draw, right?
Yes, but we've also seen draws break for her, and she didn't come out the champion either. So I don't know. I'm basing this off of not so much how I feel about Pegula, but what has Pegula shown me is that a draw, she can work her way through like a tough draw for a high seed, or a draw can break for her and she gets Vondrousova in a Wimbledon quarterfinal and not lift the trophy or get past the quarterfinal either. So I don't know.
Yeah, that one might go down as the biggest opportunity Pegula has to win a Grand Slam. Shauna, I'm not going to answer your question purely because I'm doing a power ranking video. I'm probably going to record it in the next 24 hours or so. And I don't want to give anything away for it. So I will let Miles answer that one.
Who's the third favorite for the U.S. Open after Sabalenka and Iga?
Yeah. By the way, Sabalenka's picking up the trophy right now. She's not lifted above her head yet, but she's cradling in her arms like a precious child, and she's now giving her.
I like this trophy. I like this new and improved vase that Cincinnati gives out. It's really it's more modern than the old one. That's a tough question, because my mind wanted to blurt out Coco or Rybakina, because those are who are in the rankings after Iga and Aryna Sabalenka. But I'm going to give it to either like Rybakina / Coco, because they are Grand Slam champions in their own right. But I think that third person could be somebody we really haven't discussed yet that kind of finds form in New York. Could it be somebody like Mukova, who found themselves in the semifinal last year? Sorana Cirstea found herself in a quarterfinal last year. Madison Keys was in a Grand Slam semi at the U.S. Open last year, and I don't think that was on the bucket list. Granted, she has been there before, but it may be one of those kind of players that find the form in New York that they need. So I'm not sure, because being the third best player would mean that essentially I can see them in the semifinals, because that's one of 4 players. There's some wiggle room for some players to kind of get in behind Iga and Aryna. To me, it could be Pegula, but she hasn't been to a semifinal.
I can give you a list of players in my head, because I haven't necessarily settled on it yet, but like list of players in my head who I think could be put at 3: Coco, Aryna, yeah, Jessica Pegula. I would think about Barbora Krejcikova. I would definitely seriously think about Xiongqin Wen, and I would, and maybe you could look at Jasmine Paolini.
I would love that, actually. I would love if Jasmine Paolini continues her Grand Slam success.
Or Danielle Collins.
I was going to say Danielle Collins, who's, I believe, I didn't double check this, but
she's playing Monterey, the top seed.
Yeah, Tennis Channel did make a commercial about Monterey, and I saw her, and I was like, is she actually going to play? Because that's a little strange to go to Mexico the week before you're supposed to be in New York, but there has to be some incentive, right? Also, Donna Vekic is there because Donna Vekic is actually defending champion, but she won it in February of last year when it was in that schedule of the season or slot.
Has she not pulled out?
I'm double checking. She was also in that Tennis Channel commercial as like, hey, come watch these women in Monterey.
I think Vekic is pulled out.
I don't see her name, which I actually would be smart on her behalf. I know she's defending champ, but she should be in New York. She should be. She's played a lot of tennis. Yeah, I don't see her name in the draw. I see Danielle Collins. I see Emma Navarro. I see Elena Svitolina, and I see Ekaterina Alexandrova.
Yeah, that you definitely not Vekic then, because you've gone way past where she was ranked.
Yep.
Sean is saying that Vekic is already in New York.
She should be. I mean, yeah, because Vekic is actually a quarterfinalist in New York. That match that she played against Bencic, I think she lost to Bencic in the 2019 U.S. Open quarterfinals. That was kind of tight, I think. So she could have been a U.S. Open semifinalist then. So hey,
it's another name to throw it in the mix. Sabalenka's holding the trophy. We've had the ticker tape. We've had the photos. Like, she's having all the photos taken right now. Let's go back to the Aryna Sabalenka performance here before we wrap up. Yeah, I mean, that was an intense, powerful, unstoppable performance from Aryna Sabalenka. I'm kind of running out of superlatives, you can see, but like, if you're an Aryna Sabalenka fan, this might be your favorite title run outside of a slam that she's had. Like, she was just, I've said that word again, unstoppable.
Her level of play was great. Her competition, she was up for it from pretty much the first ball, especially in this final. If she plays like that, like I've said, in New York, then she's one to beat. And I think it does give her a lot of confidence to just physically put her hands on a trophy. In my mind, a 7-month drought is not anything to be worried about. But for a lot of other commentators and tennis pundits, it was getting like, oh, when's Aryna going to win her next title? She does it now, sets herself up for a really good 2 weeks in New York. And she is a really strong one with some freight on it when she's playing well like that. It takes either her to kind of derail it with, maybe a lapse of concentration or like the wrong shot choice, or a really impressive performance, particularly somebody with the kind of legs that Coco has. I mean, legs in the form of like covering the court like Coco can do, because that's really what was frustrating to Sabalenka in that U.S. Open final. And there's not many players that have the legs to be able to stop a Aryna Sabalenka pure aggressive ground stroking game when it's on. Those names are few and far between. Iga has that athleticism. Coco has that athleticism. Maybe Rybakina can go toe-to-toe from the ground if she's healthy and motivated enough. Maybe somebody like Paolini can scramble their way and kind of make Sabalenka hit that extra shot and make her uncomfortable. But outside of that, yeah, Navarro showed that she could do it in Indian Wells, but I do think it would take a Sabalenka at a notch or two below the Sabalenka we saw in Cincinnati. But that's a good shout, Nick. It would take a combination of something like that for Navarro to be a champion. Even like somebody like Paolini, as I mentioned, a Maria Sakkari. I know that sounds like a big ask because Sakkari's not been a big match player lately, but yeah, if she plays similar to how she played in Cincinnati, even the she got better and better each week. If she brings that to New York, it's going to take somebody that just relentlessly gets down to all of her balls and makes her hit an extra shot, which that list is very short. So
yeah, I would agree. I think that's who she's got to worry about. And even then, she has the capability of, when she's on, to really hit it. Like Pegula, in theory, has that ability to kind of come back at her. And like, she did her best with it today. And it just wasn't enough because Aryna was just finding ways of just overwhelming her. And yeah, I guess that's kind of the summary of the final. Really.
Is there any, I don't know if this has been like talked about amongst tennis fandom yet, but is there any way Sabalenka leaves New York as the world number one? Or is
no, I don't think so. I think Swiatek is secure.
Because Iga does have post-US Open points, like a WTA year in finals, Beijing.
Yeah, I think the ranking becomes more in question for the WTA finals. Let's say Sabalenka wins the US Open. She'll close the gap to Iga by a lot, but I'm just getting the live rankings up now, because that's going to be easier to work with than the official ones, because obviously we haven't factored in Aryna's title yet. But obviously Aryna's defending finals points from the US Open last year, so she can only gain 700. Iga is defending what's a fourth round. 200 and something. Yeah. It's a weird, the WTA ranking system is a bit odd. It's 270, I think. So yeah, Aryna is now 2,679 points behind Iga, going into the lives. So they will lose Aryna, even if Aryna gains 700, even if Iga went out first round, it'll close the gap, but it wouldn't. She wouldn't overtake her. So
speaking of gap, there's quite a large gap between what Andrew Krasny does as far as being a tennis MC and the rest of the tennis MCs that I hear throughout the year. He's always a good voice to hear in these North American tournaments. Andrew Krasny, if you know, is a frequent MC and presenter in tennis. And I like Andrew Krasny, but I cannot say that I don't want his job, because I do.
Hey,
it's a good job to have.
ATX Open, Hyle Miles, David.
Hey, if you need somebody to help introduce players and facilitate a trophy presentation, I can do it. There's a suit somewhere with my name on it.
I mean, I would love to hear you. I mean, like, you're right, Andrew Krasny, who also does the US Open, I think. Like, the way he introduces players, the only person who really rivals him is the guy who does them for Roland Garros. It's like the Rafael and Nadal.
I was listening to someone do it in it was in Canada, either Montreal or Toronto. It was with excitement, but just personal taste. I hope nobody clips this and like sends this to the guy. A little bit like WWE wrestling corny.
Yes.
Where like it was a little bit of that, which if that is your taste, by all means, like live it up. But I think there's a happy medium between like exciting or presenting somebody to a crowd with excitement and doing it in like a cheesy way. There's a happy medium.
If I was doing it, I would go full WWE. Just want to say.
Really? Okay, that's fine. Hey, but there's an audience for that. There's an audience for it.
I don't think I could pull it off. I'd have to do my own kind of more excitable way of doing things, but I would be trying to hype up the person as much as possible.
Our producer is funny. He said he would like to see it, and Halep wins the title. Believe it or not, I would have the professionalism to not let my personal opinions bleed into the presentation. But you would be able to tell. But I would know in the back of my mind. I would know.
Yes. I mean, look, let's face it. No one's hiring a Serena Williams fan to go anywhere near a certain group of players. I
don't think that's fair. I don't think that's a fair statement at all, actually. I think a lot of Serena fans are able to do a lot of different things in tennis. It's just, Serena's an icon, so that comes with
I wouldn't hire an Iga Swiatek fan to go near Danielle Collins right now.
Yeah, that seems a little touchy. But in general, a Serena fan that is healthy and has a good worldly view can introduce any player. Like Serena's is Serena, and if you beat her in the past, you beat her in the past. That's how I look at it. It's not fun to watch those highlights all the time, but hey, you can't win them all. And she won 23.
I don't watch I don't go back and watch Novak Djokovic walking over Roger Federer in an Australian Open semi-final.
Oh, I don't either. But sometimes you learn a lot sometimes by watching matches in hindsight. And sometimes I definitely tip my cap to players that I wouldn't have felt like tipping my cap to at the time when I go back and just so happenstance to watch highlights or coverage of it, you know?
I tell you what, our producer's going to have a horrendous time clipping this, because what John likes to do is get his producers to make sure that the clips at the end of the show are kind of put out as separate videos to sum up the match. But we have gone in all kinds of different directions here on Talking Tennis. But hey, there you go. That's what Talking Tennis is like. There's so many topics that we can cover.
We talk tennis. We talk and tune into tennis. This is what it's about. This is what sports is about. I always have said with my personal platform that tennis needs more of a Buffalo Wild Wings-esque aura about it. Just, kind of shooting the breeze. And that's when sports in general is at it's best. And tennis is no different.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to be shooting some breeze tennis. Maybe we need to rebrand. We're going to shoot some breeze watching some tennis in about an hour or so, because we've got the men's final coming up between Yannick Sinner and Frances Tiafoe coming up. And we'll be shooting the breeze about women's tennis some more on WTA Weekly tomorrow. Time TBC, but it'll probably be from about sort of 6 p.m. UK time onwards at the earliest. I guess, Miles, before you go, thoughts, how nervous are you ahead of this men's final with Frances taking on Yannick?
Nervous to the point where I don't know if I should be the person helping along the stream. Sometimes I feel like I am the issue and the cause of my own players' demise. Like sometimes they win when I'm not watching. So if that happens, I tend to be mindful of that and just score watch instead of actually watch the match, like on the television. And I've watched some of Tiafoe's matches, but like the last one I didn't watch. So I don't know if I sit and like keep my eyes on the live tennis, is that going to somehow change the trajectory of what I want to happen in that match? Because Tiafoe has a great opportunity to leave Cincinnati with his first Masters 1000 title. And I think that would be, amidst a very tough season for him, that would feel very, very sweet. Sinner winning it. Yeah, that would be it would be sweet and insane. Yeah, it would be sweet and insane.
He'd have to beat one of the form players of the freaking year.
Yeah, to do it. Yeah. I'd love to see it, but I mean, if Sinner does it, he continues having a really, really amazing 2024. But Tiafoe, I mean, the list of winners in the last, just in this decade alone, of men who have men who have lifted Masters 1000 trophies, and you're like, kind of, where did that come from? That list is growing. Popyrin just did it last week. We have Pablo Carreño Busta, Alexi Popyrin, Cam Norrie, Borna Coric, Holger Rune to a certain extent when he won Paris Indoors. I don't see why with that list of players you can't add in Frances Tiafoe, but he has to go out there and play the tennis to win it. So,
with the exception of Holger Rune, they weren't playing the number one player in the world.
True.
I mean, okay. Djokovic wasn't number one when Rune beat. Was he number one?
It's still Djokovic though, yeah.
Yeah, but it's Djokovic, yeah, and like he was kind of handicapped because he couldn't play some of the season. So, I think that, I think that's the thing that Frances is going to go, because like Sinner probably shouldn't have won that match against Zverev. But he somehow pulled it out the bag, and now I'm thinking he's quite dangerous. I mean, I love Frances. I really would love to see Frances with a 1000 title. I'm just very pessimistic that this is the opportunity, that this is a big enough opportunity for him, not because of anything that he's going to do, because he's a big match player and he's going to bring it on a big stage in a final against the best in the world. We saw that against Alcaraz and Flushing Meadows 2 years ago in the semis of the US Open. But I do wonder whether, like in Flushing Meadows, Yannick Sinner might have just that little bit too much extra.
Yeah, there's some things going against him in this match against Sinner, no doubt. Like, Sinner is the overall better tennis player, especially if we just look at this season, right? But Tiafoe does have a win over Sinner in the not so it's been a while. It was 2021 Vienna, but part of the reason that whole match turned around for Francis is because he was able to use the crowd. He'll be in Cincinnati, which is not his hometown, but there's a lot of Tiafoe fans that are going to be in that building. So maybe there's some magic that can happen with Tiafoe, the crowd, and playing center once again when they're squarely on his side. So it's going to be an interesting watch for sure. I'm just nervous that I feel like if my eyes are watching it, it's going to ruin all of the potential magic. So I'm going to sit here and pray about it, I guess.
I mean, look, I feel similarly when I try not to do Iga streams on the matches because I feel like she's lost more times when I've commentated on her than she's won. Although actually, I think if I go back and think about it, probably not. But I after the Roland Garros final in 23 that I did, I was like, nope, I don't think I would be able to effectively contribute to this moment.
Let's just say that Talking Tennis, I'm grateful that Talking Tennis allowed me the platform to come on and do these live streams when they did, which was WTA Finals 2022, which effectively is post Serena Williams' career. If you guys had asked me to to live stream some Serena Williams matches, yeah. I'd be a little beside myself.
Yeah, so there you go.
There's some it'd be interesting, but I'd be beside myself.
Some lessons learned here. Well, we wish Francis all the best against Yannick. Later, that's going to happen. There will be someone bringing us that match. I'm not 100% who yet, but hey, maybe we can make it a surprise for when it happens. And good news, Nurlan can finally talk to us again, which is fantastic. So that's a great high point for us to end the stream on. So all right, Miles, thank you so much for making this such a very pleasant experience of watching a tennis match.
Always fun talking to you, Nick. Love when we can talk about some good old WTA tennis. Thanks again for our producer and Talking Tennis for allowing us the platform. And thank you guys for engaging in the chat and the comments. Always fun to see what you guys are talking about and joke and watch tennis with you guys. Always fun.
Always fun. Well, I think I've given you a bit of a preview of what's coming next. If you like the sound of that and you are new, hit the subscribe button so you get notified of when we were going live for the men's final later, and when we have WTA Weekly tomorrow, ATP Weekly some point this week, and we will be doing all kinds of US Open build-up on the show, which I think will be very exciting. We'll probably have draw reactions. We'll be doing full ATP and WTA previews, and then we will be bringing you live commentaries and watch-alongs from, well, not directly from, but a lot. But we're here to watch the US Open with you guys. So we are fully gearing up for Grand Slam season. Let's get Cincinnati out of the way first. So I'll see you in another stream soon. But in the meantime, take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.